Here's one of the things I love about SharePoint. If we design our workflows and our lists and libraries carefully, we can actually empower users to be able to go into the site and get information for themselves, particularly about processes where they have some investment and they might want to pick up the phone every few minutes and call and say, hey, did that position get approved yet? Or what does the Vice President of Finance think about these positions? If I am careful in my construction and provide information back to users, I can give them a place they can get that information without harassing an administrative assistant somewhere or walking around wondering what's happening with their work. So I've added one column here to our new position request list. That column's called status. And now we're going to add actions to our workflow to be able to update the value of the status field so that a user could come in here and look and say, what's happening with that particular position? Let's see how this works. Here's our workflow. It begins with us notifying the submitter, hey, we got your request. The next thing we do then is we email the area VP and we say, hey, what do you think about this request? And then we wait for them to actually go in and approve it. So if I'd like to be able to display the status, area VP review, I would put it right in here after we've emailed and before they've actually made the change. So in other words, during the time we're waiting for them to review. I'm going to click right there. We're going to go to Action, and we're going to choose the list action, Set Field in Current Item. The field I want to set is the status field. And the value, as neatly as I can put it, is Area VP Review. Now, if I'd called this field Reviewed By, then I could just put Area VP, but I might want to do other things than note who's reviewing it. So there's my first item right there. Set status to Area VP Review. Same thing here. Between the time we email the Vice President of Finance and the time that they actually do something with that date field, let's go ahead, set field in current item. The field we're going to set is status again, and the value is going to be Finance VP Review. And we have a third one of these. Between the time we email the HR VP and the time that they respond, set field in current item, status, HR VP Review. Now I could also set another status down here. After the HR VP has approved, we would absolutely know that there wouldn't be any reason not to say that the position was approved in total. So I could go here and we could change the status to position approved. That looks good. Let's save it. Check for errors. Looks good. And now let's publish it. And let's return to SharePoint. Remember, of course, that there's already a workflow that doesn't include these updates that's being used by this initial position. But let's go ahead and add another document. So now let's get a pipe fitter. And we're going to have them work in the facilities department. We would love it if they were available to start on August 1st. And the salary range for a pipe fitter is, let's say, $50,000 to $65,000. And I'm filling this out for somebody else. Joe Johnson has actually asked for this. Now notice that there's no status field that's being kept here in this form. It's only available in the workflow. And we're going to need to provide Joe's vice president's name. And one extra letter there, we'll get rid of it. So this is all set. We're going to submit it. The form was submitted successfully. I'm going to say OK and close it. So we've submitted our document. Here it is. We know that we already have our workflow in progress because it tells us that. And you might wonder why the status isn't marked here. Sometimes, remember, there's a little bit of a delay. We have our workflow and it's sending a couple of emails and then it's actually updating the status. So one of the things that we'll want to do is we'll actually just want to refresh this. And as you'll see, here's the status. And as our workflow continues, the status will be updated with the Finance VP review and the HR VP review, and then our final status that shows that the position was actually approved and filled. This first workflow, though, that's running on this item will never reflect any of these statuses because it's on its path already, running its way down the hill, and there's nothing that we can do easily to redirect this. Often, if people really want to make sure that this document participates in a workflow, the easiest way for them to do it if it's relatively new is actually just to repost the document again so that it will pick up on the workflow, as will every future document that gets posted to this library. That's how we can use the action of setting a field's value to a specific value that we supply. We can also use calculated values and other values that we pull from different lists, but this is a really common use of this particular action in SharePoint workflows.